It's time!
Get up, let me begin. This is TWSN. You ain't heard about us yet, well you better know now, because it's the place that it all goes down on.
What's going on, ladies and gents? Welcome to a special edition of Strikes and Submissions. This is the annual TWSN MMA Awards. So first one, hype. Of course, my guy Mike is here. We all know Mike. Mike, how you feeling?
Dorian, I'm great. I mean, look, two's company. You could say four's a crowd, but I welcome four. It's great to have Nader and Dash on.
Yes, sir. Of course, Dash, Nader. How you guys
How's it
feeling?
going? I'm doing great. It's a good day.
Can't wait. MMA awards. We had a killer 2021, so I'm really excited to, just present all the awards to all the worthy fighters.
For sure. And guys, first and foremost, make sure we subscribe to the TWSN YouTube page, as well as follow me and Dash. We have our ats right here. Give us a follow and continue to promote. And also, one more shout out. Happy holidays to everybody. I know you guys missed us last week, but with the holidays and no MMA, wasn't a show, so didn't want to bore you. So we're back this week. Plenty of topics. Let's jump into it. Mike, I'll let you start off. What was your 2021 round of the year?
My round of the year was pretty simple. And if anyone disagrees with me, you're wrong. My round of the year was UFC 265, Vicente Luque against Michael Chiesa. I can make an argument that Vicente Luque had 2 rounds of the year. And Dorian knows this because I've talked about it ad nauseum. What he did against Tyron Woodley was great, but he topped it against Michael Chiesa. Luque said that Chiesa had the choke synced in 80%, and somehow, some way, Vicente Luque got out of that submission and ended up choking Michael Chiesa, who's no scrub on the ground. Vicente Luque did that. That's why it was the round of the year, because Luque was in peril, and then he found a way to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. That's what he did. That, to me, is the round of the year.
For sure. And obviously, we know Chiesa had the darce on him. He ended up darcing him. So a little irony in that. I may disagree. I may not. Dash, who's your round of the year go to?
My round of the year is Gaethje Chandler round 1. That pace was just incredible to watch. I remember I was 1 minute in thinking there's no way this makes it out of the first round, and it did. So, I mean, that was just incredible. Start to finish, both dudes just wailing on each other. There's, I mean, maybe not the most technically beautiful fight, but from an all-out just have a brawl, have fun standpoint, it was that has to be my round of the year.
Gaethje Chandler. That was a hell of a round 1. Exactly what we expected. Fireworks from the jump. Nader, who's your round of the year go to?
Mine is a bit of a surprise pick, not because the specific round is a bit overlooked, but I give it to Nunez and Pena, the second round of their fight at UFC 269. The fact that Juliana Pena, who just pulled off one of the biggest upsets in UFC history, was able to just, stand there and just throw hands with Amanda Nunes, someone that everybody is scared of when her specialty isn't even boxing, but wrestling instead. She was able to throw hands for the first 2 minutes, take her down, and submit her. One of the most mind-blowing things I've ever seen in my life. I was going absolutely ballistic the entire time. And I bet 99% of the MMA community, except the guy that bet $318,000 on Amanda Nunes. So, yeah, definitely my round of the year. One of the most surprising rounds of all time. It was just crazy. There's not much else to say.
That's a great sleeper pick for round of the year. It was later, the last card, last pay-per-view of the year. And, yeah, you're right. Who would have thought Pena would stand there and swing? Because we saw what happened when Cyborg did that with Amanda. Cyborg was face down. What up? But, yeah, that was a crazy round.
You know what? I don't think that was a great pick, Nader. I don't. Because you know what? In that second round, or was it third round? It doesn't matter. The way the fight ended, I mean, come on. Nunes got submitted when the choke wasn't even fully sank in. The hooks were not in.
That has
what does
nothing
that take away from the fact that Nunez,
Come
the
on.
greatest women's fighter of all time. And just because she lost this, she is still the greatest women's fighter of all time. Valentina's coming for her, but she still is. How does that take away from the fact that she got beat? That someone decided to stand with her, who isn't even a boxer, jab her face off, take her down, and submit her.
Yeah, but it wasn't even a competitive round.
It was a competitive round. Nunez was still up there.
She dropped her, if I'm not mistaken. She dropped Pena in that round.
That's
Or
great.
no,
but
it was-
how did the
She did
round
back her
end?
up, though. She did
It was
punch
not
her and back her
competitive
up.
at all.
At the beginning of the round, Nunez did get backed up by a punch from
Yeah, but hold on. If we're comparing it, right? Because my guy Mack Johnson, who couldn't make it tonight, his round of the year was Gaethje Chandler. So if we're using Gaethje Chandler as the baseline of what to go off of, we're talking about competitive, right? I don't consider round 2 to be all that competitive because, sure, Pena was hurt, but Pena found a way to take that round over. It wasn't a close round. It really wasn't. Whereas Gaethje Chandler round 1, that was a close round.
I have a question for you, though, Mike.
Yeah.
Were you jumping out of your seat?
No.
Dorian, were you jumping out of your seat?
Yes, I was. I have a better question for you, Mike. How is Luque Chiesa a better round when Chiesa got submitted in the round?
Yeah, let me tell you why. You know why? Because Luque almost got submitted and Chiesa got submitted. I wouldn't say, because correct me if I'm wrong. What round was the submission? It wasn't in round 2, right? It was in 3.
Third round.
Yeah, third round. So at that point, Pena didn't even go for or finish in the second round.
No,
it
she
took
did
to the third
round. The submission was in the second round, I believe.
Let me double check.
Because I remember the first round, Nunez took her down and controlled her. In the second round, she came out, ended up submitting her in the last, I believe, 2 minutes.
Hold on, I'm punching this in right now. Just to verify.
Okay.
I should know this, but let's see. The submission came. Okay, it did come in round 2, but still, that doesn't matter because it was not a competitive round. It really wasn't. Pena took over. When you're talking about round of the year, someone can't take over.
So you don't think Vicente Luque choking out Michael Chiesa is taking over? I feel like
because
it's a takeover. You just won the fight.
First,
I see where Michael's coming from. He's talking about more balance in the round.
Right.
Vicente Luque wasn't a minus 800 underdog.
No. First off, what does that have to do with the odds?
It just blows my mind that the fact that Pena not only stood there with Amanda Nunez, which was making me jump out of my seat just like that, jabbed her face off, took her down, and submitted her.
But it was not competitive. If we're saying round of the year means it is close. Luque, to
That's
answer
not
your question,
necessarily
Dorian,
true. It's the one, in my opinion, round of the year is something that makes you jump out of your seat and go
most exciting
insane.
round of the year is not the same as round of the year is the best round of the year where both guys are in danger.
Gaethje and Chandler was
Juliana
sloppy.
Pena was not in danger.
Well, she's facing Amanda Nunez. She is always in danger in those 20. In the
It didn't look like it in round 2.
She did. Rewatch the first 2 minutes.
I got it. I get what you're saying, Mike. It wasn't as competitive as Gaethje Chandler, Chiesa, Luque. Now, that aside, I think it goes without saying that was upset of the year. We don't even have to discuss that. That was clearly upset
of all time, to be honest.
Yes, one of the biggest upsets of all time. For me personally, my round of the year was also Gaethje Chandler won, but it was simply because whenever we get these hyped fights, oh my God, I can't wait until John Jones and Israel Adesanya fight. When they fight, it rarely lives up to the hype. I think Gaethje Chandler round 1 lived up to the hype of the fight. And like Dash said, I didn't think it was making it to out the first round, let alone a decision. So that was my round of the year. You guys can argue another time. We can move on. I'll start with you, Nader, so you can give Mike a little something to get mad at. What was your card of the year?
My card of the year, surprisingly, is UFC 269. It beat out 261 by just this much. 261 in significance at the time, coming back from COVID, Kamaru Usman showing everyone, he had a lot of doubters that Jorge Masvidal was going to knock him out. But I believe that 269, the fashion that happened, both underdogs won. The rest of the fights on the main card were fantastic. A lot of stoppages. And it was just all around a great card. And it was, fantastic. It was almost a way, because 2021, in my opinion, was a great year. I became a fan in March of 2021, and it was a fantastic year to get into MMA just because of all the craziness. And it was, in my opinion, a great way to wrap it up. Charles Oliveira proving that he is the lightweight champ after being doubted by so many. Juliana Pena proving that she is, up there. She beat Amanda Nunes, which I can't believe I'm saying. And all the other fights were absolutely fantastic. We saw Jose Aldo. Oh, sorry. Jose Aldo. That was a completely different card. That was 265. But I'm sorry. We saw Dominic Cruz and Pedro Munoz. Sean O'Malley was on that card. It's just, all around fantastic card. From start to finish. It kept you on the edge of your seat.
I agree. Actually, I agree with that. That's not my card of the year, but I do agree from start to finish that there was no way you could have predicted that unless you were me. Go and listen to the 269 show. I got the whole main card right. But Mike, you want to rebuttal that? You got another card as card of the year? I see your face is kind of getting scrunched up.
Well, first and foremost, I do have to shout out Mack Johnson, who his card of the year was 269. Now, I'm not going to go at Mack because, look, he's not here to defend himself. But
you're going to take it to Nader.
How can you say 269 is the card of the year when it had several fights pulled off of it, right? And it did not have 3 title fights. And let's be honest, I would argue the title fights that 261 had were far and away better than the title fights that 269 had. Don't get me wrong, Charles Oliveira beating Dustin Poirier, it was nice, but it wasn't the same as Kamaru Usman just destroying Jorge Masvidal and Rose Namajunas, wiping the floor clean with Zhang Wei Li. And then look what Valentina Shevchenko did. What happened to Jimmy Crute? On and on and on. Jake Paul was at the fight. I mean, come on. How do you say 261
wait
the best card of the year?
You're saying that there aren't like craziness and 269? Kai Kara France knocking Cody Garbrandt into another dimension. Sean O'Malley,
I love Cody Garbrandt as much as the next guy,
with a
but
broken,
Cody Garbrandt, come on.
And then Tai Tuivasa, Dominic Cruz returning to form. Bruno Silva wiping the floor with Jordan Wright in the first round. Even the early prelims were nice. Andre Muniz almost breaking Eric Anders' arm off. Erin Blanchfield, she was one of the biggest underdogs in the eyes of many for that card, and she still beat Miranda Maverick. We got to see Ryan Hall fight. Tony
Hold
Kelly.
on, Nader. So you're resting on the laurels of Cody Garbrandt having to cut 10 pounds. That to you puts it over 3 title fights, or Jeff Neal beating Santiago Ponzinibbio. That's better than
Jeff
3
Neal
title
versus Santiago Ponzinibbio was arguably one of the worst fights that night. It was not necessarily the greatest.
That proves my point.
That proves the point that what? Valentina Shevchenko
All right,
destroyed Andrade. How is that entertaining?
This proves my point. You know why? Because look at the slots. The third to last fight was what? Jeff Neal, Santiago Ponzinibbio. The third to last fight, and I'm looking at it right now. The third to last fight, Valentina Shevchenko destroying Jessica Andrade.
How is that
entertaining? It's not close, Nader. It's not.
How is that entertaining? If you're arguing that the championship fights were great,
it's the best female fighter on planet Earth doing
exactly.
We
knew it was coming. This is the thing. If Nunes were to have wiped the floor with Pena, 261 would have easily been my card of the year. But the fact that we didn't see that, like we saw at 261, where Valentina Shevchenko did what she expected. No, we did not see Nunes do what she was expected to do.
Let's get Dash in here. I'm interested to see what he has to say.
I love it. I love the debates, Michael. I think it's great.
Well, you're not going to like what I have to say, Michael. I think 269 is my card of the year. Kai Kara France knockout was awesome. The Pena, that's the fight of the year for me, or not fight of the year, but it's one of my awards. Just because, that's the biggest upset. Like, we already agreed that's easily the biggest upset of the year. And the whole card was just like, wow. Like, it was almost a shock factor that I got after watching 269 and just sitting there for a couple hours afterwards being like, what just happened? I didn't really fully comprehend it. And yeah, 261 was impressive for sure. And did 3 title fights, but they all kind of went, at least according to certain. I feel like they went the way you thought they were going to go, with Usman beating Masvidal, at least for me.
Not knocking him out, though.
No. That was a great knockout for sure. I didn't expect that, but it doesn't come to the same level for me as Pena over Nunes did. So I got to give it, because of that, to 269.
Okay. Mike, I'm with you. It's 261. And I'm not going to say it's not close, because they made some good points. we expected Valentina to do what she did to Jessica Andrade. I mean, I don't think I expected her to ground and pound her out, but I expected her to win handsomely. Amanda Pena, I expected Amanda to do whatever she wanted, and she didn't. So I get where they're coming from, but you guys are missing the biggest reason why 261 was the card of the year. I think Mike mentioned it. This was the first sporting event back with fans since the pandemic started. That means something. And when you have a welterweight champion like Kamaru Usman headlining against one of the biggest stars in the sport, Jorge Masvidal, headlining the first event back with fans in what was it, Jacksonville or Miami?
Jacksonville.
Yep. In Jacksonville, so close to Usman and Jorge's backyard. That means a lot. And I get it, Dustin and Charles in Vegas. But Kai Car-France knocking out Cody Garbrandt wasn't as impressive as Rose knocking out Wei Lee. Because we might have thought Rose would have won, but that was one of the cleanest head kicks you'll see in your life. From here on out, you won't see many head kicks cleaner than that. And to top off the night, Mike can attest, I've put the clip up multiple times on my social media. I knew Usman was going to knock out Jorge, but I didn't think it would be that clean. Like, I thought it'd be some ground and pound maybe. He bent Jorge back, and that is arguably knockout of the year. For a lot of people, it is knockout of the year. So if you got knockout of the year and then Rose Wei Lee, that was so clean it could be up there for knockout of the year. And then another title fight on the card, it's hard to pick against that card. I'm sorry. So if the flyweight title fight, Figgy and Moreno trilogy and Leon Edwards and Jorge would have stayed on 269, I'm with y'all. But it didn't. Like Mike said, it weakened the card, and Jeff Neal catching a DUI a week before, we didn't even know if that fight was going to happen. That card was really close to getting scrapped. If we're keeping it 100, that card was close to getting scrapped. But Charles Oliveira did what he had to do, and that is what it is. Now, let's move on to another category. I haven't seen many outlets with this category, and it made me happy because I wrote about all my awards, so you guys can go check that out with the TWSN app. But let me start off with Performance of the Year. Now, when I was writing, I was thinking, what's my Performance of the Year, right? So I'm going through all the best performances. And I fell on one that I just couldn't get off of. Cyril Gane over Derek Lewis. Let me tell you why. Me and Mike went back and forth. I thought Lewis was going to knock him out. Most knockouts ever, 25 minutes to land one punch. Mike was like, no, I'm telling you, Gane's different. I was like, all right, he's going to have to show me. And boy, did he show me. Because from the moment the music rang, blue corner, still tipping, Mike Jones in Houston, the crowd went crazy. They didn't realize Cyril Gane was walking out. He trolled the crowd. You trolled the hometown kids crowd. You come out, and it was something crazy. Derek Lewis landed like 4 strikes total. Gane picked him apart. And we've seen Derek Lewis get beat, but I've never seen it. I've never seen anyone in the heavyweight division get beat like that for a belt in my life. Walking into someone's backyard, quick turnaround because he had just beaten Volkov, and then they quickly turned him around to headline in someone else's backyard for an interim title, knowing if you win, you got to go fight Francis. Cyril Gane blew everyone's expectation out of the world. There's no one who expected that to be that clean. So for me, Cyril Gane over Derek Lewis is my Performance of the Year. Mike, who'd you have?
First off, you nailed that one. Cyril Gane, I got something for him later, but Cyril Gane, what he did to Derek Lewis was a masterclass. Like I'm doing for every category, I'm going to read off Mack Johnson's pick. His Performance of the Year, Kamaru Usman knocking out Jorge Masvidal, which further proves my point that 261 was the best card. But if I'm talking Performance of the Year, there's one guy that wins it, and it's not Cyril Gane. It's Chris Curtis. Chris Curtis gets my Performance of the Year because the guy came into the UFC on his 35th fight. And not only did he stop Phil Hawes, which is what he did, but I'm going to group together his win against Phil Hawes and 4 weeks later, his stoppage win against Brendan Allen. I mean, come on. Phil Hawes, Brendan Allen, when you just joined the UFC, talk about performance of the year. I'm going to group those in because they were so close to one another, and everyone counted out the action man, Dorian.
Mike, he was getting his head popped for 3 minutes, and he caught Phil Hawes one time. That's not a performance of the year, dog. Come on.
Oh, please. In your 35th fight, you're able to rally?
You know it's not performance of the year when you try to put two into one. Come on, dog. Phil, knocking out Phil Hawes does not get you performance of the year.
No. This is why. This is why. Because what Chris Curtis is an underdog story. He honestly, if there's any directors out there listening, make a movie about this man. That's why it should be performance of the year. Because in your 35th fight, you're able to rally one of the best comebacks of the year against Phil Hawes, obliterate Phil Hawes, and then 4 weeks later say, you know what? I'm coming back and I'm going to defeat Brendan Allen. That's what he did. How is that not performance of the year?
Because I can name 4 other fights that were a lot better performances off the top of my head.
Hold on, though. You have to include context, though. The guy was in several other regional promotions, got the call to the big leagues, and stepped up.
So he got the call to the biggest promotion in the world. He said yes and won the fight, and that makes it a great performance.
In his
everyone fighting MMA wants to fight in the UFC. So they call you, you're going to answer the phone, you're going to fight whoever they put in front of you.
Dorian, you're not listening to what I'm saying. Think about this. It's your 35th professional fight of your career. Everyone's doubting you. Your career's pretty much over in the eyes of the mainstream audience. And you step up. You stop the hype train that was Phil Hawes. And then 4 weeks later, you follow it up by stopping Brendan Allen. Come on. How is that not performance of the year?
I would give Clay, okay.
Not the Carpenter Guida. Oh, my God.
Leonardo Santos is similar to what you said. Max Holloway over Calvin Kattar. Are you kidding me? That was one of the greatest performances ever. Gone over Louis. Chimaev over the leech. Chimaev walked the leech over to Dana. Sean O'Malley, any one of his fights. Chris Matinho, he set a strikes record in a 3-round fight. Bob Green over Ally Quinn. Oh, my. Mike.
It doesn't tug at your heartstrings the same way, though.
All right. If you want emotional story of the year, go ahead and give it to Chris Curtis. But performance of the year, Nader, who you got?
This is the thing. I twisted this a bit, but I stayed in the rules. This isn't just the UFC awards. This is the MMA awards. Mm-hmm. So my performance of the year goes to AJ McKee over Patricio Pitbull. Not many people, thought that AJ McKee was going to go in. Well, a few of us did. I'm pretty sure at least one of us thought, or I think it was Malik. He was talking to me the day before, and he said, I think that AJ McKee is going to start.
I did too. Yeah.
And I knew at least one of us did. The fact that he went in there, almost, knocked him out with a kick and then celebrated, came back, and then guillotine choked him standing. It doesn't get much better than that. Pitbull is one of the greatest fighters in the modern day, or like at that time before he even beat AJ McKee. He was viewed as one of the best featherweights in the world, and he's not even in the UFC. To do that is just insane. Not many people are talking about that just because it's in, Bellator. If that was in UFC, that would be the performance of the year. That would be the consensus performance of the year, in my opinion, just because of the fashion that he did it in. Yes, Cyril Gane, definitely deserving, not a bad pick whatsoever. Chris Curtis, I respect it.
No, you don't. Don't lie to him. You do not respect that.
Well, how can you not respect?
I respect
Chris
the
Curtis,
performance.
the action man, Chris Curtis.
I respect the performance. I do not respect the pick as performance of the year.
Oh, please.
Thank you. Yes.
Cry me a river.
Yes. Okay.
But yeah, AJ McKee over Patricio Pitbull, fantastic performance, and definitely deserving of some talk.
Great pick, Nader. We're gonna move on to Dash because you don't like what I have to say again.
Yeah, I got my runner-up is definitely Pena over Muniz. I think we've already touched on that enough to know exactly why it's up there. But number one for me was Khamzat Chimaev over Li Jingliang, literally picking him up, walking over to Dana in the middle of the fight, and he didn't take a single hit that entire fight. Jingliang landed zero punches, zero kicks, zero anything. That's dominance, and to me, that's what performance of the year is. Who had the most dominant round, or just fight? And I mean, when it only takes a minute and you have time to, I don't know, talk to people outside of the ring while you're in there, that's something. So that was my performance of the year.
For sure. I had that as my runner-up as well, for performance of the year. I think he walked him over to Dana and said, "Hey, Dana, get off your phone. Watch what I do to him," and choked him unconscious on top of himself. After he choked him unconscious, and he's like, "Hey, I won. All right, get this guy off me." Like, that's savagery. You know, that something Chris Curtis can't do.
It's cute. Yeah, no, it was very cute. Very cute.
I again want to just super honorable mention, Max Holloway, Calvin Kattar. To me, I would have picked that in all honesty because that was the best Max Holloway anyone's ever seen, including Max. But for the title in his backyard, I had to give the nod to Cyril Gane. So shouts out Blessed Express, and we're going to keep this moving. Dash, let's start with you. What was your fight of the year?
It's actually the same as my round of the year, Gaethje Chandler. I think for me, that was just the one fight where that's why I love UFC. I mean, I love the technicality and I love all of the intricate stuff that goes along with MMA. But I mean, when you got two guys in there who are just absolute brawlers and they go in and it's a war and they're both coming out of it talking about, yeah, if we kept going, somebody was going to die. Like, I don't know. That's the energy that really I love about the sport. And so that was my fight of the year because the whole time I was juiced watching it. And, every time I watch it back, it just gets me just as juiced. So, I got to give it to Justin Gaethje versus Michael Chandler.
Good pick. A 3-round fight, winning fight of the year. That's going to be tough to prove to some. Mike, who you have as your fight of the year?
Look, Gaethje Chandler, it's cute, right? It is a 3-round fight, but look, it easily could have been a 5-rounder. So I get where Dash was coming from. That's not my fight of the year, nor is it Mac Johnson's. Mac Johnson and I actually agree. Sandhagen Dillashaw from July 2021 is our fight of the year. Because according to Verdict MMA, it is the closest decision in UFC or MMA history. That's how close it was. And the reason why it was the fight of the year for me, and I can't speak for Mac here, for me, it was the fight of the year because you could make a legitimate argument for each guy. I thought Dillashaw won because of the control time where he had Sandhagen's back, but Sandhagen was piecing him up on the feet. So there's two sides to the fence, two sides to the story here on who everyone thought won. Look, easily the closest fight of the year, in my opinion, especially if we're talking about main events. I have to go with Sandhagen Dillashaw.
That's a solid pick. And I remember you came on the show and you stuck with it. You said, "Hey, this is my fight of the year until proven otherwise." And I guess nobody else impressed you. But everything else has just been cute thus far. But Nader, who's your cute fight of the year pick?
Yeah, it's actually pretty funny because I have one out of the two fighters, Mike and Max pick.
Oh, no. Please don't tell me it's 267.
267.
Oh, please.
Jan versus Sandhagen.
That's a great
fight. Was one of the most technical chess matches of MMA history. I rewatched it back today, and it was absolutely mind-blowing. Corey Sandhagen, fantastic first round, and to see Peter Yan just slowly gain momentum and them trading back and forth with two of the best strikers in the world going at it in a 5-round war. Gaethje and Chandler, that was a war. That was a slugfest. That fight that I'm talking about right now, that was a war. It just absolutely blows my mind. But I also want to shed light on one fight that I think is constantly overlooked when it comes to this topic. Costa and Vettori was one of the best fight night main events of the entire year. Argue with a wall. I don't want to hear it. It was to see two guys almost have their fight canceled because Costa was being irresponsible. Huge shout out to Vettori for making it happen at 205. Allowed the fans to see what Costa can do at 205, and just the constant, pressure from Vettori and the great striking from Costa made for in my opinion, one of the best fights.
You see how Nader's deflecting here? Deflecting
what?
He brought up the other fight that Sandhagen competed in. Nader, answer my question here. How is the fight of the year, right? And we both have the same fighter in our fight of the year. But how is the fight of the year for you a unanimous decision when mine is a split decision?
A split decision? Okay, sure. People could argue, Dillashaw grappling was boring. He just grabbed Corey, held him against the cage. Corey didn't break a sweat the entire fight. Corey and Jan were constantly throwing strikes at each other the entire fight. Like, tell me you
Nader,
don't go watch back that.
Nader, there was no question that Piotr Jan won that fight.
Doesn't mean that it wasn't fantastic. And there was no question that Gaethje and Chandler, that Gaethje won that fight.
Those were two great fights. I'm not debating you on that. But when we're comparing the fight of the year, you have to take into account it being razor thin and it being a split decision. That's
not the criteria. Come on.
A split decision?
It was a master
class.
A split
decision.
Okay. Do you believe that Volkanovski actually? I want to see if your ideology matches up. Do you believe that Volkanovski and Ortega should be in the ranks for one of the fights of the year?
It was entertaining as hell, but if I'm not mistaken, it was a unanimous decision.
All right. Okay, that's fair. I think we just have different criteria when it comes to what we're judging.
That's fine.
But at the same time, come on, Jan versus Sandhagen will forever be looked at as one of the greatest, interim title fights of all time. And it was at that time probably the fight of the year until some other till Gaethje and Chandler came along, which is also a fantastic pick as well.
Interesting you brought that up, Nader. I'm glad you brought both fights up. Let's talk about Jan and Sandhagen, because I came on and I didn't see the hype. I was like, Jan, Sandhagen, it was a technical chess match. I could see that off first watch. And I was just like, man, I didn't think it lived up to the hype. I rewatched it literally last night when I was going through these. And I'm like, man, I didn't realize how close it was. And if Mike says, it's a unanimous decision. So you're looking back on it like, oh, Jan won that one. When you really watch that first round, okay, Jan always throws away the first round. So Sandhagen's up 1-0. The second round was close. I gave it to Corey. My girlfriend had gave it to Jan. We score fights together. Fun fact of the day. So we had it split 1-1 or 2-0. I was like, yo, Corey's up 2-0. Obviously, we know who won. The third round, Corey almost won the third round, Mike, until that spinning back fist left hand dropped him.
Yeah.
And that changed momentum for the rest of the fight. But up until then, that was a really close fight that Sandhagen was in control of.
Don't forget the volume that Sandhagen was throwing at. I think that what won Jan some rounds was the moments, the big punch that he landed every so often.
Hold on.
They were like uncompetitive. Sandhagen
hold on now. I would argue Sandhagen's performance against Dillashaw was a whole lot better than it was against Jan.
No.
What?
Okay. Come on. Like he threw 100 more strikes than Jan. And this he let TJ grab his back and hold him against the fence for way too long to say that his performance was good. Didn't even break a sweat at the same time.
But again, though, that's what made the fight so compelling because, yes, he was at a disadvantage grappling, but he more than made up for it striking. I mean, Dash, you saw both of those fights. How do you feel about this?
I'm with you, Mike. I think that, yes,
if we're comparing those two fights.
I think that if we're talking about which fight's closer, I'm definitely going with Sandhagen and Dillashaw. Which one, in my opinion, is a better fight? I think that Jan. I just am. Those kind of fights are more entertaining to me. Getting to see that kind of war, that mental game, and then seeing somebody figure it out, and then just go win the fight. In the end, I think that's more entertaining than like the holding him up against the cage. Because when I was watching Sandhagen Dillashaw, it just gave me flashbacks to Kamaru Usman, Tyron Woodley, and I almost turned my TV off, but I didn't.
But that's a part of the chess match, though.
It is. But to me, that's just not as entertaining. And Jan and Sandhagen put on a real show for 5 rounds. So,
yeah, not for nothing. I think when you talk about fight of the year, for some it's entertainment. And we all have different opinions. Mike may like jiu-jitsu and grappling more. Right. Nader may like striking more. So we can differ on opinion. But one thing Nader hit on the head The fight of the year is Marvin Vettori and Paulo Costa. And I don't know how you can say Dillashaw and Sandhagen's different. But when you talk about a fight, this is the number 1 ranked middleweight who hasn't fought since Izzy took his O against a guy Izzy just recently beat. They're going in there. This is likely a number 1 contender fight somehow, some way. And last minute, Vittori's like, hey, I'm actually not making 85. Let's try 95. Let's try 205. And they're building up. Hey, he doesn't want to fight me at 205 because he's scared. And Vittori's like, no, man, I just been cutting weight the last 3 weeks thinking we were fighting at a contracted weight. You went to the face-off. Vettori gives him the double birds. And Costa's sitting there like, okay, we're going to see. And when they stepped in the cage, I thought, and I'm sure some of us agreed, I thought, man, Costa's doing this BS. What is he doing? Coming in the fight week trying to get, oh my God, Costa wasn't training for this fight. This is about, Vittori's going to take him down and beat him up for fight. No, they stood toe to toe and didn't take a step back for 25 minutes. That, to me, easily fight of the year. Easily fight of the year.
Not easily. Come on.
That's
He was a contender, but not easily.
For me, I'm just speaking for me. When we talk about all of it in totality, not just the 25 minutes they were in there, the buildup, the background, the story, what was on the line. It's a main event. And I know TJ and Sandhagen, when they were fighting, it was a number 1 contenders fight. TJ's first fight back after the blah, blah, blah. You know, let's see if he's clean. So I did have that on my list. I had TJ over Sandhagen. I also had Mason Jones and David Onama, which was on the same card. For me, that was one of the best fights of the year, 3-rounder. And I didn't put Gaethje Chandler up there, but the fight after, Shane Burgos and Billy Quarantino, that was a hell of a fight that just slept on because the crowd was dead after giving all they could for Gaethje Chandler right before. But those are my 4 fights I have for fight of the year. But looking back on it, I would probably swap out Jan for Dillashaw against Sandhagen for my runner-up spot, if I'm being honest. But Vettori Costa for me, or now I'm thinking about it off the top of my head, Max and Yair was a hell of a fight. I don't think anyone said that yet. Max and Yair, that was one of those two. So we had a ton
kind of sloppy though.
You think so? I don't think it was. I just think it was different seeing Max wrestle because he hadn't been outstruck before. It's rare that Max gets outstruck.
You know what, though? It wasn't as clean of a performance as Max put on against Cater. Maybe I was so spoiled.
Of course not.
Maybe I was just so spoiled. But look, I was expecting Max to get a stoppage. You know, I was wrong, but yeah, I thought Max should have stopped him, but he didn't.
That's fair. And I mean, we can move on to our next topic, everyone's favorite topic, knockout of the year. Now, I want to start this off because it's important that we mention the 261 knockout. It's important that we mention, you know, Sandhagen's flying knee against Frankie Edward. It's important that we mention Sergio Pettis against Horiguchi. It's important that we mention these, you know, Derek Lewis stiff Curtis Blade's entire body. I've never seen a man go so stiff. That's a big man. You get a 250-pound man go stiff like that. You got some power in that right hand. But for me, and not for nothing, Francis Ngannou over Stipe. For me, though, knockout of the year. Started at the top of the year, and nothing's been better. Yuri over Dominic Reyes. I'm not even trying to say his last name. Prohaska.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay. Yuri Prohaska spinning back elbow after dominating Dominic Reyes and face planting this man. Knockout of the year, easily. Mike?
It was cute.
Oh my God.
But last I checked, Yuri was hurt by old Dom Reyes. You know who wasn't hurt by their opponent in their knockout victory? Corey Sandhagen. 28 seconds, flying knee from hell, and dispatched Frankie Edgar. And then he said, you know what, Marlon Vera? Here you go. Front kick this guy into oblivion because I just flying kneed him. That's KO of the year, baby.
That's a good pick. Dash, Nader, who you guys got?
I got Usman over Masvidal. That was a different thing for me. Started at the beginning of the year and didn't get touched in my book. I think, again, just being the headlining event of 261, what that meant, just having that be the way that we all walked away from that first live event back, it was just a different feeling. But I do want to mention, if we're talking about flying knees, Manel Kopp over O'Day Osborne, pinging him with a flying knee. I think that was early prelims of 264, so it was a while back, but that was I wanted to put up there. He did put him straight to sleep. So
yeah,
Cop missed weight. So anybody who didn't make weight, I didn't put them on my award list because
that's why it was an honorable mention for me. It wasn't going to win.
The night, if they miss weight, I'm not acknowledging the fight.
You know what, Dorian? That's the problem I had with Vettori. Not Vettori, with Paulo Costa. It was hard for me to say that was my fight of the year because Costa ruined it.
He technically made weight.
That's fair. The thing is, Nader's right.
Give me a break. We know that should have been a middleweight fight.
I'm with you, but
it wasn't though.
But the contract didn't say he missed weight. The contract said 205.
They adjusted it.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
when it's big business, they'll adjust that for you. Yeah. You should know you got your business blazer on, looking spiffy.
Yes, sir. But my pick, I agree with Dash, but I also wanted to give a shout out to a quick fight. But going back to Usman versus Masvidal, that changed the narrative on Kamaru Usman. That completely changed the narrative. Oh, he's a blanket. He's a boring fighter. He's a wrestler. Toast on all that, and then he just knocked Jorge Masvidal, to another dimension. No one's ever knocked out Masvidal, and it was just beautiful. I couldn't believe my eyes what I was seeing. I expected him to dominate for 5 rounds, get a decision win. Jorge has a flash here and there. But I wanted to give a shout out to a guy. I think he's going to become a fan favorite very, very soon. Chris Barnett and his spinning wheel kick. That was a fantastic knockout
over Jan Valente, right? John Valente.
Yeah. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. You wouldn't expect a heavyweight to be able to move like that, and he just out of nowhere too. No, but he didn't show anything like that earlier on in the fight, even against Ben Rothwell, and he just knocked him out, and then the end of it, the part where he just started going on top of him and boom, 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 and then the front flip on top of that. That was definitely probably my second place. And also shout out to Ignacio Bahamendez for his spinning. That was crazy. So yeah, a lot of good choices this year, but I have to go with Kamaru versus Masvidal just for the significance of everything else out of the octagon.
Wait, I gotta say Mack Johnson's, and you actually mentioned it, Dorian. He had Sergio Pettis, his KO over Horiguchi, which honestly, spinning back fist, I don't think you can argue with that, man. That was a wild knockout.
Anything spinning, you got me.
Yeah.
You spin elbow, spin back fist, spin wheel kick, you got me. And let's argue this for a little bit. So I know Mike's been the antagonist. Let me poke some fun at you guys right now. For me, I think like Nader said, the knockout against Jorge in the second fight was big because in the first fight, short notice, 6 days, blah, 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 hard weight cut for him, and you didn't knock him out. How are you going to do this time? Okay, knocks him out. Fair. That made Kamaru the number 1 pound for pound fighter. Like you said, it gave him a lot more fame that he had. But can we really give knockout to the year if you need follow-up shots? Let's be real. Granted, Herb Dean lets people get hit, but Herb didn't step in as soon as he folded him. He folded him and there was some hammer fist after. So can you really get knockout of the year if it's not even a clean knockout?
This is the thing.
Is a home run if it's not a walk-off?
Exactly. And also, the thing about this is, Askren, when he got knocked out, there was follow shots that were super necessary. Doesn't mean that wasn't one of the greatest knockouts of all time. Because I think that they could have stopped it after he hit him the first time. There was those shots. Some of them were a bit unnecessary. I think Jorge the fight could have been stopped.
That's a little different, though. That's a little different because it was so quick.
Yeah, it's just to give it a different perspective.
There's a difference between the ref couldn't get there in time before Jorge can give those extra shots to Ben, and the ref seeing Jorge fold down like that and then watch Usman hammer him 3 times.
That's Herb Dean fault.
That was on Herb Dean. I'm not going to take away from what Kamaru did to Jorge Masvidal just because Herb Dean didn't want to stop it. I'm not going to let that take away from what happened.
I'm not taking away from it. I'm just saying, is it knockout of the year? It's a TKO because I tried to give knockout of the year to someone. I forget who it was, and Mike told me it was a TKO. It don't really count. So I don't
fair.
know.
I understand. I understand where that's coming from, but
yeah, when we have so many other clean, not like when Corey flying kneed Frankie Edgar and he fell down like this, he could walk off. There was no need for follow-up shots. You know, when you get those follow-up shots, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it could be your knockout of the year. It's just not mine. You know, Yuri made Reyes face down. You know, there was no need for follow-up shots. There were no follow-up shots. That's my knockout of the year. Horiguchi, when he dropped, he was out with the chalk around him. There was no need for follow-up shots. When Usman hit Masvidal, he did those follow-up shots. Not for nothing, I think his knockout against Gilbert Burns was more impressive, but that's another story for another day. Let's move on to submission of the year. Now, this is a great category because it'll let me know what your favorite type of submissions are. I know most of Mike's, but Nader, let's start with you because you're not the grappling guy. You like striking. So what was your submission of the year?
That's the thing. I actually do love grappling. I'm a grappling defender. Of course, I love,
Oh, yeah, you're an Islam fan. I forgot.
I'm an Islam and I'm a Bilal fan. He is not a boring fighter. He's 30-25 Wonder Boy. But yeah, my submission of the year was Hamza Chimaev over Li Jingliang because of the fact that he just, it was everything that led up to the submission and the fact that he readjusted it multiple times to his liking, as well as just like, and he was just like looking there, just looking around as Li Jingliang was trying to fight for like pretty much his ranking spot. So
his life.
His life too. He was like, and then Hamza's just looking around, talking to Dana, just yelling something like he always is. But yeah, just the fact that the like, not necessarily the swiftness, but the ease that came with it just blows my mind. Hamza is that showed that proved all the hype that came along with his name is definitely well deserved. And I think that him beating the Leech, someone who is by no means like a bum or a bad fighter or even an average fighter, the Leech is a fantastic fighter. To just do that to him and to cap it off with submission, I think it's fantastic. But yeah, although Hamza may not be the best submission artist to have pulled off a submission this year, I think he definitely deserves a vote for me.
That's a quality choice, Mike. Rebuttal that. It looked like you got something to say.
You know what? Hamzat's win over Lee, it was like me. It was cute. But it wasn't Amanda Nunes, a reverse triangle over Megan Anderson. Oh, that was electric back in March. To me, I don't see anything better because say what you will about Megan Anderson, she was deserving of being in a title fight, right? If you get to that point where the UFC goes, all right, you're in here, you have some skill where you're deserving to be in there, regardless of how you feel about her. Amanda Nunes was playing with her food that night. She did not care who was in there. She did everything she wanted. If she wanted to knock out Anderson, she could have, but she said, you know what? I'm going to defend that takedown that you just shot on me, and I'm going to submit you, but I'm going to do a reversal. Reverse triangle, that's my submission of the year.
That's a quality pick. I think that was probably my submission of the year up until my actual submission of the year came. Okay. But I'll save it to the end. Dash, who you got?
I got Andre Muniz over Jacare Souza. Anytime you pull off a submission against a guy with 14 submission wins who's never been submitted before, say what you want. He's 41 years old, whatever. If we're talking about submitting somebody who has a high level of skill in that category, I mean, Megan Anderson is no Jacare Souza. So for me, that's got to be my pick for sub of the year.
I'm glad you said that, Dash. Let me just dive a bit deeper because you didn't give Jacare the proper respect. His name's not Jacare. His name is Ronaldo Souza. Jacare means gator in Brazilian because when he grabs you, it's over. That limb's going home with him. Let me read you off some of his grappling credentials. ADCC World Championships. 03, silver. 05, silver. 05 again, gold. 09, gold. 2011, silver. World Jiu-Jitsu, gold in 01 twice, silver in 02, 3 golds, 02, 03, 04, 04, 05. Oh my, he has so too many. The Wikipedia, my phone just cut off. Like I didn't click on it enough. Jacare's grappling background, different. It's him, Damian Maia, and then you gotta search through the weeds to see. And I'm not talking about in the UFC. I'm just talking about jiu-jitsu in general. Andre Muniz did not just submit him. He broke Jacare's arm. That means a lot. That means a lot to me and Dash, clearly.
And Mack, too. Mack had that. Sorry, I had to fit that in there.
Yes, Mack's a smart guy. See, you should agree with him more. But when you can break an arm like Jacare's arm and take it home with you, that is something that can never, ever be duplicated because you just retired Jacare. He retired Jacare. Now, maybe Jacare will continue grappling, but his UFC and MMA career is over as far as I'm concerned. So, yeah, I think retiring a legend, a former title challenger, and, Strike Force in the UFC, one of the most vicious guys you can find at 85. Yeah, I think it's a lot to say to submit him, break his arm, and take it home with you. Not for nothing. I believe it was a first-round submission off the top of my head. So, yeah, he got my submission of the year clearly. I did want to give an honorable mention to Jordan Levitt over Matt Sales. On that, the last fight night of the year, I think it was the first or the second fight of the night, an inverted triangle. And it didn't even look tight, but that's how you know that leg squeeze is just crazy. And, of course, Megan Anderson with the Amanda over Anderson was a great one. Choked her unconscious. AJ McKee and Pitbull. I had this on my list for submission of the year. I know Nader touched on it with the performance of the year, but to submit Pitbull, choke him unconscious standing up, that was a tough one. And not for nothing, for $1 million and a belt, yeah, you get some props and you get an honorable mention on my list. But yeah, top of the line, definitely Jacare or Andre Muniz over Jacare for me. And yeah, now we can get into the best topic of the year. Let's start with our female fighter of the year. Mike, I'll let you start off with the reins.
I'm going to run through this really quickly because I know we're on a time crunch. It's Valentina Shevchenko. 2 stoppage victories on the biggest stages in title fights. For me, it's Valentina.
Nader?
I'm just go ahead, just keep it short and exact same reasoning. Valentina is arguably, I think now is the best. I think that she is the best women's fighter in the UFC. She's my pick too for female fighter of the year.
Dash?
Yeah, this was the year for Valentina in the women's circuit.
Fair. I also have Valentina. Honorable mention goes out to Casey O'Neill, 3-0 in the UFC, 3 finishes. Yep, King Casey, Valentina, watch out. If you go up to 35 for that belt, just know you got somebody waiting for you at 25. Remember I said that. In due time, of course. But now let's get to the final topic, our male fighter of the year. For me, I'll start it off. It's Kamaru Usman, and I don't see how anybody else would have a different argument. But I will salute my guy, Charles Oliveira. Me and Nader been driving the Oliveira hype train at TWSN here, and not for nothing, we've been cashing as underdogs. So, but yeah, Kamaru Usman, 3 fights in a pandemic year, knocking out your former teammate, knocking out Masvidal in his backyard. Another great fight with Colby, who people said is your greatest rival. You 3-2 him. Yeah, Kamaru's earned my respect, and he's earned everybody's respect. Headline MSG fighter of the year, clearly. Mike?
Look, great pick, but he's not fighter of the year.
It's cute.
Fighter of the year is Bon Gamin, Cyril Gane. Cyril Gane is the fighter of the year. The way he was able to neutralize in February Jairzinho Rozenstruik, masterclass, made Jairzinho Rozenstruik look amateur, and people said it was a boring fight. You know what? No, it was defensive. And then look what he did against Volkov on the last fight night in June. destroyed him, and Volkov really didn't land too many clean punches. And then he followed that up less than 2 months later, or just over a month later, against Derek Lewis, and did what he had to do to claim the interim title. If you tell me in the heavyweight division where one punch, boom, and you're out, and you're able to look that clean and move with that sound footwork, that's not fighter of the year, then I don't know who is.
Kamaru Usman.
It's not Kamaru, man.
Dash, you can give your pick.
I'm with you, Michael. I got Bone Got Me and Cyril Gane. I mean, to do what he did to Derek Lewis, especially, I mean, he had us talking about, is Derek Lewis going to retire? He looked like he quit. Like, does he even want it? And then we come out and we saw in the last UFC event of the year, Derek Lewis knockout, first round knockout, starches Chris Dawkins, right? Like, he still has it, clearly. And we all thought he didn't. We all thought he lost it because Cyril Gane is just that good. And he did that to one of the top fighters, the heavyweight knockout king. Just
Dash,
knockout
three top heavyweights.
Yeah. There's so much great, like, potential for Cyril Gane. I mean, I really wish that we could have seen him fight Ngannou before the end of the year. I think that would have completed and solidified him as the only option. But I mean, even still, again, 3 fights in the COVID pandemic year, that's tough. And to do what he did every single time, that's fighter of the year for me.
You know, I'll let you guys slide on that. But I just don't see how you can give a guy who point fought Jairzinho Rozenstruik, who's a point fighter himself. Even Jairzinho started knocking people out, though. Look at his next fight against Augusto Sakai. He stopped all that. So you have a point fight, 25 minutes against Jairzinho. Impressive. Yes, I'm giving credit. I'm not hating because I know we think – look at Mike's face. Look at Mike's face. He thinks I'm a Cyril Gane hater. I'm actually a fan now. But that wasn't the greatest performance when you compare that to Usman's first fight against Burns.
He was hurt by Burns, though.
And he came back and knocked him
has
in.
never been touched against killers.
Okay. All I'm saying is of course he's hurt by him. That's like saying when Francis and Gane fight, if Gane knocks out Francis after being hurt, I'll give you the same benefit of the doubt. When you're teammates, you training with each other for 10, 15 years, yeah, you're going to clip me once or twice. But what did he do? He got up and he finished Gilbert Burns with a jab. And then against Masvidal, we've talked about that ad nauseum.
Let's also keep it. There is no 10 to 15 years of training for Cyril Gane. He hasn't been fighting his whole life. That's not who he's not one of those guys. He's picked it up 6-7 years ago, and he's out here an interim title holder in the UFC.
And Kamaru's pound for pound #1 champion.
He's
an interim belt.
A great fighter.
Kamaru beat the last guy in the division who had the interim belt twice, Colby. And when they jumped him in line, he beat Tyron Woodley, who was the actual champ. So we can keep it on 2021. Yeah, I think Kamaru's 3 title defenses, 2 out of 3 of them being knockouts, 1 a unanimous decision over a guy who everyone thought, oh, it was his toughest fight. Oh, it was a fake stoppage. Oh, blah, blah, blah. And he made Colby look like he wasn't the #1 guy, which I thought all along, but neither here nor there. 3 title defenses is a lot different than 2 main events and an interim title win, in my opinion. I don't even think Gane should be eligible for Fighter of the Year, if we're being honest.
Oh, stop it.
You got to be a champ to be Fighter of the Year.
He is a champ.
He's an interim champ.
He's a paper champ until
that's why I wanted him
He's
to
definitely
fight.
a candidate. He's top 3, but he is not a champ yet. I love Cyril Gane
before the end of the year.
Fighter,
it's him.
but he is not.
You're
the
lucky
champ.
we got to go, Dorian. You're lucky this show's over because I have about 10 more minutes I could talk about this.
Hey, Mike, you can get at me next week. You know where to catch me at every Thursday at 7. But, we'll wrap this up. We'll continue our banter behind the scenes, guys. Again, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube. Check out our Patreon. Our UFC picks went crazy last card. And make sure you guys check out Shop Talk up next. Happy holidays, everybody, again. We out. Peace.
Get up, let me begin. This is TWSN. You ain't heard about it.